AITB for not disclosing my plastic surgery history to my husband before having a kid with him. I 40F grew up as close to objectively ugly as you can be. I had a giant dorsal hump in my nose, a jaw that people started calling the Habsburg jaw. My left eyelid was also naturally droopy in a way that made it clear one eye looked larger than the other. From 1823, I went through extensive plastic surgery with my inheritance money. I got a nose job and eyelid surgery. I searched far and wide and finally found a doctor who was qualified to do jaw shaving surgery. Officially, it's called orthographic surgery. I later went back for chin implants and neck liposuction and ended up with a rather chiseled jawline. After these surgeons, I slowly began to consider that my new face was just what my face has always been. I was basically 4 years past any surgery when I started dating my husband, 44M. I had not showed him any pictures beyond what my face looked like post-surgery. My family, I was adopted. Jokes that I had a face transplant but promised to keep the secret. Now we have a 11, almost 12-year-old son together. When my son was born, I thought he resembled his father, who was a very naturally handsome man. However, as he grew into his looks, I realized that he started to look more and more like the features I unfortunately had grown into as a kid, with the exception of his eyes and hair color, which are all my husband. He started getting bullied for his nose and later for the way his jaw juts out. Recently, my husband has become worried that our son had an actual medical issue in terms of how his jaw is not conducive to his teeth, but he doesn't want to bring our son to a doctor because my son is already miserable at school, and telling him we think he looks fine is the only way to make him feel better. He talked to my brother-in-law, who is an orthodontist, and he said the protruding jaw is basically a inherited feature. My sister then armed me, and in the heat of the moment I showed him a picture I had in my phone of what I looked like when I was around 14. It was basically one of the few pictures I allowed people to take of me before my 20s. My husband freaked out and said, "Seriously? After all these years, you couldn't have thought to tell me?" He then went on about how he thought we talked about everything in regards to having kids and that we would adopt if we were infertile. And he told me his grandma was bipolar. He asked why I didn't think to tell him, and I said that I thought he liked me for me and that I wanted to have a biological kid if we were able to and didn't think he'd be the type to judge a kid by his looks. I also said that it was a personal decisions, and I was dismayed he was shaming me for having body autonomy and was bordering on eugenics with his outrage. Am I the BF? My husband is still affectionate as ever to our son, but in the days since he found out, he's been distant to me.